honeying our honey again.
After we honey the honey, can I honey a honey?
No honey before honey, honey.
Honey up, Pooh. We had the honey.
Yes.
As we watch the honey oil, is honey, 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 honey.
Hello and welcome back to Unfiltered Talk with, I guess that's Unfiltered Real Talk. We've been talking so much about things that we will tell you all about in a little while that I got a little confused. Okay, welcome back to Unfiltered Real Talk with Christine and S. Michael. And S. Michael is here with me.
Keeping it real.
How is everybody? I know it's been a while. It has been a very eventful 2026 so far for me and Mike. He's along for the ride. And he's doing a very, very good job of navigating the whole situation. But those of you who know it's been
A bit of a roller coaster, eh?
yeah, and it's not over yet. As a matter of fact, in just a couple of days, Monday, I have another surgery. So, well, we have some changes that are happening, and we'll talk about them in a little while.
Life doesn't slow down for podcasters.
No, I was going to say it's going to affect the show for next week, but again, we'll talk about this. So, but in the meantime, we did have a topic to talk about tonight.
Moving in.
Moving in. Yeah, it's not really just moving in.
Well, it's also moving out.
Well, it's the topic is about moving fast. That's what it's really about. It's about when you are a couple who moves very fast in your relationship, and all the things that
Like us?
huh?
Like us?
Yes, like us. That's why we're talking about it. But like all the stuff that partners deal with. We've put ourselves into a position, and anybody out there who falls fast and hard into a relationship and starts acting as if they've been together for 20 years, everybody goes through it. You haven't really been together for 20 years, and you're dealing with a lot of situations that are big for a couple that has only been together for, let's say, 4 months, or however long it is.
9 months.
Well, yeah, now, but it was 4 months when we got hit with the first big thing, so this is the point of the conversation. What do you do when you have fallen into a relationship that moved extremely fast? And I know you guys, especially some of you women, some of you men too, you're out there thinking, I would never do that. I am too logical. I'm too smart. No, it can happen. Okay.
Especially if you're over 50.
Right.
And you know what you want out of life. You know what you don't want out of life.
You hope you know. And if you don't know, you need to come sit with me and have some coffee. I'll straighten your ass out. But that's the topic. What do you do if you are in a relatively new relationship, yet you feel together mutually like you are ready to make big decisions and big commitments, and you do, but then you start dealing with big commitment problems, and you're still really a new relationship. So how do you navigate that? That's an interesting dynamic.
New keys and hard truths when life hits your new relationship. And we've got tons of keys that we're trying to figure out what goes to what now, because we're installing new locks in the new place, and I've still got some of my old keys on my keychains.
And we have a garage that has a door.
Right.
With
new
a lock.
cars. Yeah.
Actually, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 doors in this house that have locks. So we have a lot of keys, and it's a new relationship. Lots of responsibility. So how are you doing with it?
How do you think I'm doing with it? And I mean that in the nicest way. It's like, as an objective observer, how do you think I've been dealing with our recent coming together of the two, like, moving in.
I think that you've dealt with it very well because I think that you're excited. And I think that even when we reach, our road bumps, the excitement of what we're doing takes over and rights your worry or concern or frustration or whatever it might be. And it gets rid of it pretty quick because you look around and you're like, but we've got all this, so why be upset?
Right. And we still have, even after 9 whole months of being together, we still have a spark. We still have,
I would hope so,
the ability to lean on our intimacy when all else, is falling apart. It's like, look, we've still got each other. We've still got our dreams. We've still got our attraction. We still got all of the things that brought us together to begin with. So as long as we have that, all of the trials and tribulations of, for one, the illnesses and the conditions that come with aging. Both of us are over 50, as well as, moving and all of the stress that goes with that. My career, having to balance that with doing a move and a vacation. We finally got to vacation together, which was amazing. And then her, balancing things with her family and her retirement and her podcasting and building her brand. I mean, it's a lot.
And losing my boobs.
Oh, yeah.
And my hearing.
Well,
there's that.
I lump that in with illness, but it's definitely all consuming. And so I will say that being able to lean on those things that brought you together to begin with and never lose sight of those things, is the most important, to me, the most important part about coping and making it work.
It is interesting because there's two things that we had going against us. One is that we are a new couple, and we were a very new couple when the big challenges started hitting us. And the fact that when big challenges, life-altering challenges hit even the longest-standing relationship, it can tear them apart.
We got your diagnosis 3.25 months into our relationship.
3, almost 4 months we'd been together, and I got cancer. That's
the kind of thing that destroys people who've been together for decades. Sometimes.
Exactly. So we had to deal with that, and we were a new couple. There's a lot of people out there who date after 4 or 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, and they walk away from it because they're just like, I've given it a shot. No, it's just not working for me. And they walk away. I mean, and it's funny because when I hear people, and I hear people say, well, we weren't together that long because, they're talking about, I broke up with my boyfriend or I broke up with my girlfriend. And it's like, well, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. We were only together 7 months. It's not like, it's a big deal. And I'm thinking 7 months, good Lord. We were practically married at 7 months. It would be devastating I would never say, it was not a big deal. It was just, it is what it is.
But so that brings us around to the elephant in the room, which is that, yes, I'm the most important relationship in her life. And all of these things are happening to her. And by proxy, they're happening to me. But she's also got other hugely important relationships in her life. Number 2 would be her extended family, her children, her grandchildren, her people who she's known her whole life, longtime fans, that built-in constituency and loved ones and acquaintances. Okay, that's number 2. But number 3 is you, the listeners. She has been building this show for 3 going on 4 years now.
Well, I mean, it's 4 years in a month.
Yeah.
In 1 month.
So everything that's been going on with her and with us and her family and all the things we've talked about so far have affected the show. You as listeners may have noticed, we haven't been as consistent with the show lately because we have so much going on in real life. And not only that, but longtime listeners will notice that since, fall of last year, maybe late summer, the entire dynamic of the show changed.
Which, and I addressed this on my After Dark podcast. My longtime listeners, which are many, were not happy about the changes that I made. They really worked hard because I thought about it and worked on it for a good year. And so I mentioned it quite often. They tried very, very hard to talk me out of it. Not all of them. I had those who were like, oh, no matter what you do, I'm
It's
here.
you, yeah.
Yeah.
Or we'll go wherever you go. We'll
Right,
follow.
Right. But I did have many who were like, I don't want to listen to a co-host. I don't want to listen to anybody else. I tune in to listen to you. So, there's that. They did not come over. They don't listen.
So I, honestly, before we delve into like the ups and downs of the topic, would you mind just kind of giving everybody a history of how you got into podcasting to begin with and how the show started and where it evolved to by the time you ended up on this show?
Wait, so you want me to be honest?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, it's the last show, right?
Yeah. Look, guys, there's many of you out there who are going to become very uncomfortable from my conversation right now. I apologize.
Might even be a couple of people clutching their pearls and running for the hills.
Yeah. But you guys, if you've been listening since I first added, invited Chris on as my co-host, I mentioned this quite often. The fact that this show previous to Chris, was a different show. It was quite edgy and provocative.
Chris is her former co-host. I'm
Yes.
Mike.
Yes, I've had two. So cover your ears if you can't handle it. Here we go.
Oh, the grown-ups are talking.
Yeah. All right. So we got to go back to COVID. When COVID happened, I, at that time, was a travel agent and I specialized in cruises. Well, that just tells you everything right there. It was COVID and it was a cruise. And that's what I did. So it was shut down. I did like everybody else and collected whatever money I could get from the government and tried to find something else to do. And so I, from one conversation to another with other people, found out about OnlyFans. And I had people talking to me and saying, you really should do this, because they knew my history. Now I had been in a 23-year marriage and I was very,
Devoted.
Well, I was devoted, but I want to say vanilla, but not everybody. I don't think everybody understands what vanilla means, but
vanilla just means like
straight laced.
Yeah, something you might watch on a 70s or even as late as the 80s sitcom.
I was a very PG girl while I was married, but prior to that, I did not. And I had a lot of experiences. I was a cam model. I was a model. And
you did a little bit of exotic dance, I hear
did some
tell.
exotic dancing. I experimented for 5 years in the lifestyle with my then partner. So I had a...
Wait, what? What does that mean?
What does what mean? The lifestyle?
What do you mean by the lifestyle?
Well, other people might call it swinging. I don't like to call it swinging because I did not swing. Swinging implies
that you're having
swapping.
Full on, yeah.
Yeah, and I never did that. I didn't do that. It's not what my
But okay,
bag
but
is.
you flirted with, okay yeah.
But when you say the lifestyle, that's a broader expression to encompass a lot of different, anything that's outside the box. And that involves other people.
Okay, so but you're saying that prior to your last major relationship, your 23-year marriage, that you dabbled in
all these things that I just mentioned.
Sexually liberated activities.
Very much so.
Okay.
And then I was in the 23-year marriage where it was very PG. And then COVID hit and my marriage was really over at that time. And honestly, when I did the things that I'm going to talk about, it also gave me the strength that I needed to just finally say, this marriage has been dead and now it's done, But I did keep giving it a go. I kept trying. But in these 3 years, 4 years, it did officially die. But while it was dying, I did start an OnlyFans page. And that's where it began. And very quickly, I probably only had the OnlyFans page for a couple of months, maybe a little bit more. But people kept telling me about being a cam model. And I'm like, well, I used to do that. So eventually they really got to me because they kept mentioning, and people just kept mentioning it. And I am one of these people that believes if something keeps coming up, then you need to check it out. So I did. And sure enough, I saw a opportunity to, possibly soon in the future. I didn't see any money coming from it anytime soon, and it didn't. But it was something that I hoped would turn into money. And so I did OnlyFans and I did the cam modeling. Well, as it turned out, the cam modeling, I did do the full-on cam modeling, which if you don't know what it is, it's adult entertainment. It's like a virtual stripper is really what it's like. You have a menu of options. You can pay her to do whatever you want. She may do it. She may not do it. I was offered a tremendous amount of money to do things that I said no to. So really, they can ask you pretty much anything. And I did that for a couple of years. And during COVID, I had a few health issues related to COVID. And one of them was I had a very weird something, it was like an allergic reaction or something on my hands, just my hands. And I looked like a burn victim, really. I had big blisters like I had gotten burned, and they would just pop up and they'd be all around my fingers. So the doctors thought, well, it's got to be your nails, because I had acrylic nails. So I did get rid of them. It didn't get rid of it.
God, that sounds awful.
It was horrible. It was horrible. It was so bad. It was, oh my Lord, it hurt.
God.
And they took biopsies. And we didn't know what it was. So bottom line was, it was something related to COVID, and they didn't know how to get rid of it. And it lasted for about a year. In that year, I couldn't do really anything because I had to keep my hands covered. This is kind of gross, guys, and I'm sorry, but they weeped all the time, and we didn't know what it was weeping. Is that it's something that's contagious? Will it spread? I wasn't about to touch myself or anything. And so during that time, I started talking to these people. I wanted to still be there. I wanted to try to earn money. I had managed to get about...
Developed a following.
Yeah. At that time, I had about 30,000.
Holy, okay.
Yeah. And I wanted to keep growing, and I wanted to be there. So I turned it into a talk show. And I put right in the title, there is no nudity in this room. There is nothing. I mean, occasionally I might flash you or something. And I did.
So you essentially turned your chatterbait and your budding cam modeling career into a podcast.
Right. And and everybody kept saying, you really should record these sessions because they would be gold in a podcast. So I started thinking about that, and I'd always forget to turn on the recorder. And so eventually I'm just like, why don't I just come here, talk to you guys, and then go record a podcast episode after the fact, kind of like an after the show, and talk about what we talked about. Now, granted, it would be better to listen, but I couldn't really do it because on the cam, you can hear me, but you can't hear them because they are text. So it really doesn't work as a podcast. So I took it to an actual podcast, and I started talking about the stories, and I talked about all the issues, and I made sure that everybody in my room knew that I have a podcast. I'm going to talk about this. I won't divulge your name, although you're all anonymous here anyway, but I won't say anything. I will just talk about the issues. And I did. And I kept doing it. And at first it was very raunchy. It was very, very, very XXX.
Right. So-and-so wants me to do XYZ. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I did not hold back. I told all the stories from the cam, which, think about that. These are men predominantly, of all ages, 18 and some under 18.
Paying money to get a woman to do XYZ. Yeah.
Yes. So, and I told it. I told it all. I just went there and I told the stories, and I told the oddities, and I told the things. And so in the beginning, it was very, very, very X-rated. Eventually, I started realizing that people were interested in sexually related topics. So they wanted to know more than they didn't just want to talk about the weird stuff.
The gory details, yeah.
Yeah, they wanted to know, so what is a prostate orgasm?
Yeah.
Tell me about literally wanted to know about the vagina. How does it work? And tell me the mysteries. You're a woman. Help me. They wanted to hear these things. They wanted to know, what do I do if my wife does X, Y, and Z?
Yeah, what do you think about cheating? Am I cheating?
Yeah, is this cheating? What am I... They had so many questions, all related to, yes, relationships, but the intimacy of the relationships. So that's why when I decided... Now, I ended up with over 50,000 followers when I finally stopped going to the cam. And and just
And a
did
lot
the-
of them followed you, right?
Yeah,
To the podcast.
to the podcast, yeah. And I started on Spotify, and it was moderately successful. It was fun, but I kind of made a mistake. So in 2024, both my parents passed away, and they were living with me. I was living with them. Whatever. I got divorced. They died. That's a lot of shit to go through. Plus, I had to take care of all their money, all their stuff. I had to sell houses. I had to move. I had a lot of stuff on my plate. So I wasn't doing the podcast as much as I should have been, as you can imagine. And then I decided, when I did start doing it again, right at the end of 24, into 25, when I started doing it again, and I really got into it around April of 25, and I said, I'm going to make a change. I am going to, and I had been talking about it for a while, because I just thought that it was time that I needed to broaden my audience. So I decided that I was going to bring in a co-host who was more mainstream, not as wild and crazy as I am, but wouldn't be, shy away from me.
No, because he was an entertainer, right? He was a DJ.
Right. Well, Chris
he had
was
an
the one,
audience already.
Yeah, that I landed on. And it's funny because he and I had originally talked, I don't know when it was probably like July. And then we just stopped talking about it. And then like in November, he contacted me again. And then I'm like, yeah, why did we not do it? And I'm like, it might work. And he felt the same. And, so we ended up doing it. And the reason I say I made a mistake, I took the podcast in a wrong direction, is because I had momentum when, before my parents got sick, before all, the tragedies of 24 happened, my podcast had momentum. Now, granted, I was making mistakes with it then too. I was doing 6 shows a week, 5 on the minimum.
Yeah.
I was going to burn out. So I knew I had to cut back already.
Right.
So the changes I decided were going to be cutting back to a show a week, maybe 2 a week, and getting a co-host, someone to talk to, someone to banter with,
someone to help you appeal to a wider audience than your niche, sexualized audience.
Right. And I had to take the show down to a PG rating. Sometimes it verged on R. And Chris was the perfect person for doing that because he didn't like it when I got too edgy. And he would rein me in.
Some of his fans as well.
Yes, absolutely. His fans did not all enjoy my mouth and the way that I could speak sometimes. And so, so I came around to that side of things, and I learned to be more, topical and just speak on the topics. And it was fun. It was good. And then Chris went to follow his own endeavors that took him elsewhere, and Mike came in, and we continued doing what we're doing. Although Mike,
and it was a natural podcasting marriage, because I was already doing a horror show, so right. I was already a podcaster.
Yeah,
she was already a podcaster. We're in a relationship. The show is about dating and relationships,
right?
So it made sense.
And Chris and I had been doing dating because we both were single, both trying to find love. So we leaned heavily into that. Now, once Mike and I got together, that dynamic sort of changed. And then after Chris left, Mike came in, and we sort of started going towards the way of talking about, well, we did in the beginning talk a lot about the dating because, we talked about how we met and the pitfalls that we fell into when we were dating.
We were coming off of, the dating stuff.
Yeah. So we talked about it, and then we started talking about relationships. It all really stayed the same. I mean, it's the same stuff that I did talk about even in the R and X rated show, but I was just much edgier and provocative when I talked about things.
Which is part of why we're having this conversation now, because Christine and I do a separate show where we can say whatever the F we want.
Yeah.
And
we do.
And I'm going to tell them about it because it's the last show, so screw it. It's called Taboo, A Couple's Journey into the Depths of Sexual Depravity. Now, if that sounds like something you could handle and you want to either, get on board with it or watch a train wreck freak show, go for it. Check us out. But if you are part of the typical PG-13 audience that Christine has had for the past 6-7 months, when did you guys, then yeah, you don't need that. Check out her other shows. Go see what Chris is up to. Whatever it is. Yeah. But that's the direction that we're going. Yeah, unfortunately, for those of you who enjoy the PG talks, we're leaving. Yeah, there's not going to be any more generic dating and relationship show. No. Unfiltered Real Talk with Christine or Unfiltered Real Talk with Christine and a co-host is going bye-bye. Yeah. But we're going to do whatever the fuck we want to do. We're going to do the Taboo Show. I'm going to continue my Scared Shitless podcast. Oh, just to be clear, before you continue that, need to be clear because I don't want anybody hanging up right now or, disconnecting, thinking what he just said. Oh, we're not stopping. No, Unfiltered is still going to be recorded every week. Just like it was for the past 4 years. Correct. But it will be me primarily. Mike will pop in whenever he feels like it, or, if I have something we're talking about where I need him to. But it will be me primarily. And the title is going back to Unfiltered Real Sex Talk with Honey. But I do think it's going to say Honey, a.k.a. Christine. I don't know. Yeah. I haven't decided, but I think so because I think that evolution was good. Yeah. And that's what my TikTok says. So I might as well, stick with that. Everybody knows I'm Christine now. I was Honey before because it was the anonymity of it. I don't need that. So yes, the title will revert back, as will the theme and the discussion. So if you are offended by non-clinical descriptions of genitals, you may not want to listen, and I'm okay with that. I will miss you. I will miss those of you who have found me when I was with Chris. Hang on though, because there's a silver lining. We don't necessarily need to lose those who aren't interested in the adult side of things because, Real Talk and Scared Shitless and the other shows that we're doing together are all part of your brand. And so if they like you, if they enjoy your banter with me, they can tune into our other shows. Yeah, but all our shows are not necessarily R-rated, though. So you've got the Scared Titless podcast coming up. Just so you guys know, that is basically a podcast that's going to talk about and review, but talk about movies, Hollywood, men, women, music, all related, entertainment, horror, public figures, all related to basically to breast cancer and mastectomies. Yeah. Yes. I mean, we're gonna talk about the difference between top surgery and breast augmentation and mastectomy reconstruction. We're gonna talk about everything. We'll even talk about I'm bad things that happen to boobs, like even in the horror movies. Yeah, so, that one is going to be related to movies and the things that you see in movies. I was kind of getting crossed over there with my my dead. Sorry, and I apologize. Everything's got tits in it, but guys, I don't have any. You know what? Tits okay. I mean, Dead Tit Society. That's going to be mine. That's me. Strictly her breast cancer journey. Yes, it's my breast cancer journey. Exactly. It's going to start from the start, and I'm going to talk about everything and anything related to breast cancer. I might talk about legislation that is occurring to help women with recovery or reconstruction or hormones. I will talk about everything to do with breast cancer, with reconstruction, with aesthetic flat closure, with top surgery, the differences, the similarities, the horrors, good, the bad, the ugly. So, and that will not be a X-rated show. That is going to be a journal. Yeah, it's going to be very informative and entertaining. And that's what I mean. Like, if they enjoy your voice and your demeanor and, your banter with people, I mean, I'm sure you're going to have guests on. I'll pop in every now and then, I'm sure. then they can absolutely tune into that, if they want to know about those things.
Yeah.
As well as the Scared Titless podcast.
Yeah.
And if you like the way I talk and the way I sound, check out Scared Shitless podcast. We have a whole brand of podcasts that we're putting out there, but this particular show with Christine and another host talking about dating and relationships is going away.
Yeah.
But this is the final episode, right? We're about halfway through it,
Yep.
and we do have a topic for tonight.
That we've already been talking about.
Well, which we should get back to for the remainder of the show, I think. So I did jot down a whole bunch of questions to what? Put your thumbprint on it.
I don't think.
We're still recording.
No, I wanted to see how many minutes.
All right, so
we were
it's
in.
funny. We're recording on our new phones, and her screensaver popped up, and we thought we lost the show, but it's all good.
Yeah.
So we have our questions. So did moving in together just happen because we were always together, or was there a specific moment when we both officially decided to take the leap? And when did we figure out that we were going to move in together?
You know what? See, it just sort of happened, honestly, and it's because I got sick and I had surgery.
Yeah.
And Mike started being there a lot more, and it just eventually turned into all the time.
So to give you a little bit of history based on our, time together in person.
Before I got sick, I was spending all my time at his house, though.
Right,
So
but
it's still
even
happening.
before that, so we met online. We texted a whole lot, both online and then eventually on our phones. Then we started being together in person. When we first started being together in person, it was at hotels because we didn't know each other from Adam. So it's like, I'm not going to invite you to my house until I get to know you, but we wanted to be intimate. So we went to hotels. After that, I had an apartment. She started coming to my apartment. I didn't have family at the apartment, so there was no extra dynamic to worry about.
Right.
The only time things started to change was when it was like, hey, why am I never going to where you live? Why don't I go to your house? Why are we always in my apartment? Well, she was happy in my apartment. She turned it into a home. It was amazing. We started basically semi-cohabitating at my apartment, my one-bedroom apartment.
Whenever I was there, it was like, we lived together.
Yeah, I mean, she spruced the place up. She feminized the bathroom. It was fantastic. I loved it. And we had a lot of good times together. So,
Yes,
it's
did.
still the PG show. But that turned into when am I going to introduce him to my family?
Right.
And so as I got to know her family and went to sporting events and had dinners with them and just got to know them on a personal level, it became normalized for me to show up at her home, which she shares with her children and grandchild. So it's like...
Well, did.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get there.
Yeah.
So then it was like, as it became more normal for me to be there, then she got sick.
Right.
And after she got sick with the breast cancer and the surgery and all the things that came with it, of course I was there like as much as I could be. So...
The first night Mike spent the night at my house was after surgery.
Yeah.
That was the first night. Because I basically told my kids, I'm like, look, he's spending the night. He's going to be here. Because I
Just
don't want...
so you know.
Yeah. Because he's going to be the one to take care of me during the night. And my daughter-in-law had taken time off work. She could be there during the day while he worked.
But prior to that, there was almost this unspoken rule, which is you're not going to bring this dude over to
Right.
stay the night because your granddaughter lives here
Right.
in the basement apartment that you have, so that they have. So it's like, yeah, and I didn't even question it. It's like, yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
If it's my kid, nobody's gonna,
Yeah.
that I don't know is gonna. But as I grew to know the family, as I started helping, take care of Christine during her hour of need and all the things, it just became normal for me
And
to
then
be
he
there.
never left.
Right.
By the time I got better, and I'm still not done with everything. But by the time he didn't need to be there anymore, he just stayed and they didn't question it. But it started getting crowded.
Yeah, for sure. And it was funny. Like there was a couple of times where I needed some milk for my heartburn, from the fridge. And I'd get up at 1 a.m. and I go to get the milk from the fridge. And boom, there's one of her kids. And it's like, oh, hey, it was a little awkward,
Yeah.
It's like two different families trying to live in the same space. And it became clear that if we're going to do this, if we're going to stay together and be together and build our lives together, we probably should,
And we had talked randomly just a few times about the future. And it's like, he would ask me, are we going to get a place together someday? And we would talk about it and be like, yeah. And we'd talk about what kind of place we wanted and everything. And then when I started getting better and he wasn't going anywhere and it was becoming awkward and I knew it was, I told him, I'm like, we should get a place. And so we did.
Yeah. And here we are, recording in our new condo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which we call the Honey Hive.
Yeah.
Based on Christine's original persona.
Yeah.
Which I'm so excited that you're going back to your old format because, you'll be getting all those fans back. You'll be able to be yourself and say words like cock, without half the audience clutching their pearls. And I get to be as involved as you want me to be. It's exciting. So it's not a sad thing really because we don't have a ton of fans, for this particular format of the show. But she does have a ton of fans waiting for her to come back and be Honey.
But I do want those of you, Kristen and Monica and Mr. Fix-It, and, all of you who stuck with us through the changes and everything and Vicky, can't forget Vicky.
Yeah. Know how much that we appreciate you because you helped keep this show going.
Yeah.
And you made it very clear that you appreciated our banter and
I only didn't say your name because you're the
Owen was there to begin with.
Yeah, you were there from the start.
He's one of the OG Honey fans.
Yeah. So now what's the next question? Because we're getting back on the demise of this.
Sure. So how do you maintain the honeymoon high when you're literally surrounded by packing tape and moving boxes? So yes, once we agreed, yes, let's get a place together, we had to actually physically move your stuff from the old house to the condo. Yeah. And now here we are. So from my perspective, I feel terrible because I had to work. Like I work a full-time job. And I was not able to help a whole lot with the moving and the unpacking and all the things. I helped out here and there, but not near to the level of a normal couple that's moving together.
Right.
And so I could sense frustration from you that you were basically doing everything on your own for several days at a time. And it's like, dude, you're sleeping. Or, dude, you're on your computer. Or, dude, I need help with this, And it's like, I'm so sorry,
Yeah, I was overwhelmed. I am overwhelmed at times. And especially because I'm having surgery on Monday and I knew it was coming and I wanted everything to be done and it won't be. And, so yeah, I was frustrated.
It was a bit of a fixer-upper, the condo that we got. And we got my kid brother to help, repair a bunch of the stuff because I don't have time for it or the skill for half of it. I'm handy with YouTube. I'm like a YouTube handyman, okay, but I'm not a framer, So it's like we needed somebody to come in, and put in a new sink or put in some light fixtures, whatever. And so my kid brother has been a framer for years, but he lives like an hour and a half away. So it's like, yes, he can help, but can he get everything done as quickly as we really would like it to be done? And so we got him to do some stuff. And then she had her handyman that, she's been using for years at her old house. So it's kind of been a marriage of those two as far as, the fixer-upper stuff. And then, I do little things here and there. You've been putting stuff together.
Yeah.
But it's like, so the question was, how do you maintain the honeymoon high? And the answer, I'm sorry, but it's fucking, it's sex, it's intimacy. I mean, at the end of the day, after everything that we've been putting up with and that we...
Well, but that's not the question. The question is, how do you maintain that, though? How do you still want me at the end of the day with all of this shit going on? Because for a lot of couples, moves, building a home, anything like this is stressful and it tears them apart. It doesn't bring them together. And we're a relatively new couple, and it's bringing us closer together and we're still finding intimacy. How do you do that? How are you doing that?
Well, so that's a good question because I don't have a frame of reference for that because I was married for 23 years with the same person. And then prior to that,
What do you mean you don't have a frame of reference?
Well, in other words, I never had to deal with the stress of I did. If I think about it, way back in like the early 2000s, we had an apartment and we moved to a house in 2004.
Well, you've had stresses. It's not just this stress. It's not just the moving stress. It's also stresses like illnesses or deaths or,
But so
finances.
the question, though, is very specific. It's how do you maintain the quote-unquote honeymoon high, which is a
That's
good
what
question
I know,
for
through
a new
stresses.
through a generally new couple like us. How do we still maintain the fact
But
that
I'm just saying through stresses. You said you don't have a point of reference. I'm saying, but you do, because there's no way you went for 23 years or whatever and you guys didn't have stresses. Finances, too much work, too tired, kids.
Sure. Okay,
moving.
so thinking back, we did have some custody stuff from a previous relationship that I had to deal with.
I know you had a death.
We
and
had
you
some
probably
death. We had
yes.
some moving stuff. We did. We moved from New Jersey to Indiana. We had some apartment stuff to
so,
a house.
So stresses.
So for sure. But in a specific quote unquote honeymoon high context, again, a lot of times it's got to be intimacy. And it's like, how do you even feel like getting intimate with someone when you're exhausted from
That's
moving
the question.
and you're surrounded by packing tape and boxes? And to me, it's like you shut all that shit out and try to think about what's actually important to you. And it's like I feel when I come home from work at the end of the day. I'm exhausted, but when I walk through the door, if the person that I was working so hard to take care of and to enjoy life with is greeting me when I walk through that door, that makes me excited and happy, and I can put away everything that's been dragging me down throughout the day.
See, and that right there is key. And that is something that, I hate to say it, but most people can't do. They bring their work home with them. And as much as you hear people say, don't bring your work home with you, they do. And they walk through the door shitty, and they stay shitty, and they get shittier when they're faced with their spouse. Because their spouse is shitty. And then they're both being shitty at each other. And it just snowballs into one of them in bed alone and one of them on the couch alone,
Well, yeah, I mean, I would say especially if they have like a 50s mentality where, dad goes to work, husband goes to work for, 9 to 5, and he busts his ass at work, in the factory or in the office, and then he comes home and he expects dinner, and he wants to relax with his paper and the TV.
And a martini.
Right. And the woman, the wife, the life partner, right, has been dealing with the kids all day. She's been dealing with all of the domestic stuff.
Well, if you have the 50s mentality, she's got them put in bed already. Dinner's on the table. They've already eaten and they're in bed. She's dressed, all fixed. Her makeup's fixed. The dinner's done. The dishes are done. And his martini's in her hand with his slippers and the newspaper.
I mean, as a guy, the 50s sounds pretty awesome to me. But come on. I mean, we had women's lib in the 70s. The 80s, we had Supermom that's going to work and taking care of all that shit. And then in the 90s, we started to get into second wave feminism. And so where are we at? We're in 2026, okay? And that is not realistic. And so I would say what is realistic is be honest, be transparent, be intimate, be humble, be careful. Definitely be careful, right? I think that modern couples think a whole lot more about feelings, about how the other person feels, about how things are going. I would say that's been one of our things. Of course, we're always transparent, right? We drive that home in every show that we do. It's like our number one thing in our relationship. But when it comes to the fact that I'm working a lot, and that she's dealing with her illness and operations and procedures and appointments, and moving into a new condo, and I'm not there as much as I could be if I wasn't working, she's going to feel some kind of way if I come home from work and I'm like, I'm ready to chill with a video game, or I'm ready to, veg out and watch a movie.
I'm very fortunate that Mike looks at me like he wants to devour me all the time. Because that just lights my fire very easily. So yeah, I mean, intimacy comes easy to us. That's the thing.
But you also, and where I was going with that was, I have tried, and I hope you've recognized this, try to find pockets of time where I can like jump in and do a whole bunch at once. Move a bunch of boxes, move furniture, put something together, whatever the case may be, to try and help our home become a home.
He fixed my rug under my bed, which was driving me
That was
insane.
pretty labor intensive. Yeah,
It
this
was.
beautiful rug was covered up by a very, very heavy bed. So yeah, we ironed that out. And there's been little things here and there. So, but that's the thing, guys, especially guys, right? It's like, yes, you work hard. Yes, you deserve to relax at the end of the day. Yes, you have maybe perhaps a domestic partner who has certain responsibilities that you have agreed, or, maybe not even out loud, right? But you expect her to do certain things. She expects you to do certain things, right? But always it's a team effort. And yes, with your last ounce of energy, do the fucking dishes or fix something that she's... What?
With your last ounce of energy.
Wait, don't say it. It's funny.
Do something else with your partner.
And what would you like me to do with my last ounce of energy, dear?
We'll talk about it later.
On the other show.
No, you know what it is.
Okay, next question. What is one thing we have learned about the other person's daily habits since living together that we never noticed when we were just dating? Oh my God, I don't want you to say. I'm such a fucking caveman. Like, yeah, I don't.
I couldn't pick just one.
I know, right? Like, where to start, right?
Right.
Daily habits for you that I didn't notice when we were quote unquote just dating.
Yeah.
That I've noticed more since we pretty much started living together. Coffee. So you have to have your coffee very early in the morning. You are absolutely a morning person. But when we first started dating, I was, texting you late at night. I was talking to you through the dating app late at night because I'm a night owl. And so I didn't know that.
And I was at that time too.
I know.
Yeah, I was.
Well, you had to be if you were interacting with me, right? So it's like that. But that's what I've learned about you is that you definitely like to get up as early as possible, drink your coffee, just get ready for your day. And I like to sleep in, but what's helped is my career because I've been promoted recently, and in my leadership role, I have to get up pretty early twice a week and staff my contractors, my employees. So it's like, I got to do it for them. I can probably do it for you. Who's more important, right? My coworkers, my contractors, my employees, my person, my life partner, my soulmate. So yes, I have tried and hopefully slightly successfully adapted to the fact that she is indeed a morning person. But
the thing is, I don't need him to get up in the morning with me.
She doesn't. She doesn't.
I enjoy being up. I enjoy the darkness outside. I enjoy the quiet. I enjoy just and I don't get ready for my day right away. I sit.
You like to ease into it, but it does involve coffee. And it's funny because you said that you'll drink the first cup of coffee and then you'll go back to sleep.
I'll fall asleep in the chair. I do. It's like the coffee puts me to sleep and then I wake up like a half hour later and I'll sometimes have another cup or I'll just watch a little TV or something and then I'll go start getting ready for my day.
Yeah, and I think that's funny. Like, it's the way that caffeine and liquid works because that first cup is warm and it makes you feel good and you chill out and go back to sleep. But then once the caffeine kicks in and you get that second dose, you're ready for your day.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but yes, I do love the mornings. And no, I don't make him get up. And no, I don't get upset that he sleeps.
She doesn't. And it's funny. I've actually asked her, at times even almost begged her, hey, get me up when you get up. And she won't. If she knows I stayed up till 2 a.m. or that I got up at 4 in the morning, and couldn't get back to sleep or whatever, she'll let me sleep. And I'm like, hey, you didn't get me up. And she's like, dude, are you serious right now? I'm like, yeah, you're right. I probably needed to sleep. So, but that's one thing that I learned about her habits is that she definitely is a morning person. And I didn't really know that about her, before we started living together. You want to just pick one of the 500?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. I mean, most of them I wouldn't tell people.
Well, no, so just go with sleep habits.
Yeah,
that's
sleep
an obvious
habits
one.
is obviously the sleep habits. Well, that is what I was going to go
Yeah.
with. The sleep habits are the thing that I didn't grasp. I mean, there's no way to know until you're living together that this man is the most erratic person I've ever seen in my life. He can be up and down all night. He can sometimes he'll get up and go do things. Sometimes he'll get up and move to another room and go back to sleep. Sometimes he'll sit in the bed and scroll on his phone. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's whatever he feels like doing in the moment. But it's almost every night, constant. And when he does stay in the bed for the whole night, it doesn't happen often. And when it does, I'm shocked. And it's like, what is he doing here? I think something's wrong because he's still here. And today something happened for the first time. For the first time I saw it. So I woke up. Now, typically, he does this throughout the night. And then by come 5, 6 a.m. when I want to get up, he's back in bed. He's in bed, he's sleeping, he's snoring, he's out, and he stays out for a while. But this morning, I got up. I didn't get up. I rolled over and looked, and he was gone. And I just assumed it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning because that's about, it happens anywhere between midnight and 4 a.m. He'll just be wandering. But he was gone. I thought it was like 2 or 3. I look at my phone, and it's 5, almost 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, whoa, where is he? I mean, this is not good. So I did lay back down, but then I'm like, no, I'm getting up. So I got up, did my stuff, and then I went downstairs, and I hear him snoring, and I'm like, where is he? And I turned the hall light on, and he's on the couch sleeping, and I'm like, first thing I thought to myself, very first thing, well, isn't that the shit? This asshole leaves my bed to go sleep on the couch by himself.
And he's not even in trouble.
Like, what a fuck.
So guess what happened? I ended up sleeping on the couch for sleeping on the couch. No, not really.
Yeah, no, but here I expected I was going to find him sitting somewhere, working on the computer, on the phone, just sitting up, unable to sleep, which is what I always think he's doing. Now I know what he's doing is he's leaving the bed and going somewhere else and sleeping. Like, bullshit. That's bullshit. So you just don't want... I'm so glad you guys are here to hear this because I haven't talked to him about this yet. So you just don't want to sleep with me.
Oh, it's real-time shit? Okay, no, I definitely want to sleep with you. So what had happened was I did get up...
As far as I know, this is what you do every single night.
I did get up early in the morning. It is now very far past the first of the month. The third of the month is when my monthly reports are due. They submit them on the 10th. So between the 3rd and the 10th, I got to get my monthly reports done, which, by the way, are still not done. And I got up early to knock out my monthly reports, was honestly too physically tired to do it, and fell asleep on the couch with the full intent of knocking out my monthly reports.
See, now, if I had come downstairs and he was sitting up with his phone in his hand and he was sleeping... I would have been like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. He was trying to work or he couldn't sleep, so he was scrolling on his phone, whatever. But no, he was laid out on the couch, comfy.
My computer
sleeping.
Was right over there.
I don't know.
Swear to God.
I don't know.
You got to look around the room.
All I know is you were laying down and you were sleeping, which you could be doing in our bed. So, that was a kick in the ass.
It's just a nod to all the fellas that are sleeping on the couch for various reasons right now.
Yeah, and he's doing it because he wants to. Here I am in bed, and he's off sleeping by himself on a cold couch without a blanket.
For the first time in our 9 months together.
It
was an accident.
I don't know that that's true. I don't know that that's true, do I? Because
you might be sleeping normally.
Yeah, I've never checked all the times you're out of the bed.
And then I'll sneak back into the bed.
Yes, for all I know, you're out there sleeping. What do I know?
Phone.
I was totally shocked when I saw
you know what?
Of
all the awful things that someone could do, sleeping on the couch for 2 hours and coming back to bed, I don't think necessarily would be a deal breaker for most people. I guess it
depends on what you're doing that led you away from the bed in the first place.
Well, that's exactly right.
Yeah, exactly.
If I'm in a porno cellar or if I'm,
so what's the next
smoking
question?
Cigars or whatever.
Is there another question?
Yes. No, actually, that's pretty much it. Okay, wait. So how are we deciding whose things make the cut and whose furniture goes where and which bed to use? I think we already decided that. I mean, because you and I lived together for so long in your home versus my apartment, but we did do a lot of living together in my apartment as well. It's kind of a mixture. So basically my apartment stuff is becoming the guest room.
The nice thing was
basement.
The nice thing was we have the need for a full other house of furniture because we have a walkout basement, that's got a whole living room and a bar.
We do plan on entertaining at some point. I do have a son who will be coming here. Yeah, so we'll need a guest room for sure.
Right, and then his furniture can go into the living area in the basement.
So yeah, I mean, we've got it all figured out,
Yeah.
and it all kind of naturally comes
Yeah, it
together
just
and makes
did.
sense. So that honestly, that's not a great question. What about this one? What are our plans to carve out alone time? I just made me think of what we just talked about.
Yeah.
So that we don't feel overstimulated living together. I mean, maybe subconsciously, I just needed a little alone time.
Oh, is that it?
I
You're
don't know.
always alone. You go downstairs to the basement and
I'm
you sit
working
down
when
there.
I do that.
Whatever. The point is, you're alone, aren't you?
Okay.
You have lots of alone time.
Well, I would agree with you. I would
Yeah.
say that I naturally, because of my
yeah,
job,
it was a bad joke. It was bad.
have
just say it was
plenty
a
of
bad
alone
joke.
time. But that would be my answer to the question. What are your plans to carve out alone time so that we don't feel overstimulated living together? I automatically get alone time because
And
of
my
my
mornings-
job. So and exactly,
My
your mornings are
yeah.
plenty of alone time because I'm snoring. So.
Right. Yeah. So we just kind of naturally have that figured out anyway.
All right, last question. Share your own moving horror story. We can each talk about either a horror story or a moving memory from this particular move. And I would say the worst one has got to be our chimney.
Yeah.
The chimney was a huge selling point, the fireplace. We both fell in love with the idea that we have a beautiful, well, it's not beautiful,
No,
but we
but it could
have
be.
a fireplace
Yeah.
in our living room. And we found out yesterday
Yep.
that it's broken. It's not going to work.
It's hazardous.
Yeah, and we can't use it. So
Yep.
there's
And it's up 10 to 15,000 if we want a
new one.
new wood burning fireplace. But we are getting an estimate for a compromise.
An electric one.
An electric one, and one of those really nice rectangular floating ones that's in the wall. So we'll do something. But yes, that was a big
Yeah,
one.
to me, that was the biggest horror story of the move. Probably the runner-up would be just the amount of repairs that we realized that we were going to need to do until we both feel comfortable living here. And again, that involved my kid brother, who again, it's a pain for him to come here and fix stuff because he lives so far away and he's got a family of his own. But he's on the cheaper side, and he's good at what he does, so we used him. But then also she's got her own guy that's been doing her stuff for years at her other place, but he's on his own schedule. So it's like just getting the stuff repaired that we need repaired in this new home of ours has been kind of rocky. So that would be the big two that I would say. Can you think of anything else? I mean, we've had lots of.
I mean, the movers.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I would say the movers were my, and of course it had to be the beginning, right at the start. And I won't go into the whole story. I'll just say it was not, what I planned on. They told me $600. I ended up spending $2,300,
Jesus wept.
completely unsatisfied with the work. So
yeah, you took the time to put labels for every room that everything was supposed to go to, and at the end of the day, 3/4 of the stuff ended up in our bedroom somehow. So it's like, ay. So
and here's the funny thing that I will share with y'all. When my handyman came over, he had just left his friend's house. His friend had just
use the
moved
same
in.
movers you did,
They
right?
used the same movers that day, and the same thing happened to them. His wife was alone. I was alone with the movers. She was alone with the movers. And she had, everything was labeled, and they put everything, worse than ours, they put everything in the garage. It didn't even come to the house. And the cost for their move was the same as ours, which is kind of weird because they had 5 movers. We had 2. And it was the same cost.
So I think the moral of that
And they
story
had a 3-bedroom
is,
house, and we had a
I think the
1-bedroom.
moral of that story is that you get what you pay for. Don't use budget movers. Just go for the highest ratest, most expensive mover, and you'll get what you pay for.
This is all my sons.
Oh no, you're throwing him under the bus.
Fuck. Of course I am. Don't use all my sons.
Fair enough. Yeah, it was a nightmare.
Yeah, go read my review on Google.
The ugliest part to me was that they took apart a piece of furniture at your house, brought it to the condo, and didn't put it back together. And when you were like, hey, this isn't put back together, we're like, yeah, I can't figure out how to put it back together, but here's the parts for it when you're ready to put it back together. It's like, really?
And me being a person who doesn't put things together, I'm like, oh, that's a bag of dowels. How hard is it to put a dowel in a hole and put a piece of cardboard up? No, see, and that wasn't the worst part to me. The worst part to me was that they brought my glass cabinets over and they left the glass shelves at the other house.
Yeah, I mean, what if you...
And they knew it.
Yeah.
They knew it.
Yeah. What if you had bad blood with the people at the previous house and it's like you could never get your shelves back because the moving company decided to leave them there? They don't know,
Yep.
So, yeah, again, though, I would say you get what you pay for. I mean, you went middle of the road, pretty much.
Well, $2,300 is not
No, that's
cheap
not what
for-
you agreed to, though.
No, I agreed to like $700.
Much less is what I'm saying. Like, if you...
But it's a 10-minute move for a one-bedroom apartment, basically.
Fair enough. No, it's totally on them. All I'm saying is if you even do have like a small move, go ahead and pay the extra because just paying for the basic move is not going to cut it because they will screw you. They will.
In other words, call a brand, national company that does long-haul moves and ask them if they do local moves. They probably do.
So
I didn't even think about it.
Yeah, live and learn.
Yeah.
But
that
yeah,
was
that's our nightmare stories. So we're coming up on an hour, our final hour in this form of the show. So I'll say my final piece. Listen, this has been a joy for me, getting to talk about dating and relationships in real time with my person, for her fan base and the few fans who came over from Chris's fan base. And then the few, honestly, several, because we've seen the demographics, new people who tuned into the show. We appreciate and love you all. You've been a wonderful part of our lives. And some of you have reached out on the Facebook page. There's been emails. For a long time when we were doing the live show, we had several people either, lurking or trolling or taking part in the conversation. You're absolutely appreciated. Please consider listening to our other shows. But
you've been warned.
But yeah, we do. We are unfiltered, like real unfiltered on the other shows. But again, thank you so much for being a part of what we were putting out there. It's been an absolute pleasure doing this show with you. Yeah,
and ditto for me. And I will still be here, but the show will definitely go back to the way it was. And I will miss all of you who have hung in there and chatted with us every week. Maybe we'll keep, if you don't want to listen to the show anymore, that I respect that. Maybe we'll keep talking on the Facebook page.
But what's the new title from the old show?
You're going to make me say it again? I already
yes,
said it
please, because
it's Unfiltered Real Sex Talk. All I did was I removed the word sex.
With Honey.
With Honey, a.k.a. Christine.
Hunny, Honey, right?
Hunny.
That's the other thing about our condo. It's called the Honey Hive, right? And we have a dedicated space for Hunny, honey and honeybees and honey hives.
I even have a bouquet of honeybees.
Yeah. That's our motif. Honestly, in two spaces. So in our cafe, which is going to be the Mike and Honey Cafe. And then we have our guest bathroom, which is all like bees and honey related. So
it got picked, I believe, because it's got yellow walls.
Yeah, which worked out okay.
They're kind of a gold yellow.
Yeah, we were unhappy with the color at first. We're going to paint over it, but the more we thought about it, it's like, oh, that kind of looks like the yellow on bees. Like, so we'll just put some black stuff over it, and there we have a bee motif. So
yeah, and Mike managed to break the vanity, so I get a new vanity.
Really?
Yeah,
You're
Mike broke the vanity,
throw me under the bus.
I get a new vanity that he's going to gift for me. And it's going to be either white cabinet with a black top or vice versa.
Well, I'm going all out. I'm looking for something that is actually modeled after an actual bee.
Oh, whatever.
Anyway.
Maybe get a yellow basin.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's been real, guys.
Chris Anthony, if you're listening, hopefully you listen at some point and hear this show. I learned a lot from you while you were on the show. I really enjoyed you as a co-host for Christine. And we're friends on Facebook. I wish you all the best in your endeavors.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, this particular branch of the journey is over, but we still have a lot of stuff going on.
Yes.
So
Yep.
tune in, check us out.
Yep. Still be here tweaking the changes, but reverting back. Old school.
So Unfiltered, real talk.
Real
with
sex talk.
Real sex talk with Honey, a.k.a. Christine.
Yep.
That's the show.
Yep.
It's always been the show. We just went PG-13 for a while. So
A year.
And it was fun while it lasted. But
Yeah.
let's keep it real. Yeah?
Yeah. Exactly.
All right.
Can't put baby in a corner.
Nobody puts honey in the corner.
Nobody puts honey in a corner.
All right.
All right, y'all. Peace out.
Let me tell you about